Hello, everyone, and today we're looking at safety and security. And on the safety and security, I want us to talk about a very important aspect. I've talked about the physical safety and electronic safety, but today I get to dwell on the security of data. And this is a video I've not really done. I thought I did it, but for some reason, the video recording is nowhere to be found. Literally, I'm so sorry about that because again, the students are prepping for their exam, and this video is coming in high demand. So today, I get to do it. Are you excited about that? Of course, I'm excited to do it. And you're excited, I'm excited. So I guess everybody's excited, right? So we get to talk about it, and we get to just put down our ideas on security of data. How do you secure your data? Very important. How do you secure the data? And we're looking at two things: data threats and protection of data. Literally, what the name says, right? Data threats. Yes, there are some things that causes threats to our data, and we're like, help us, right? Help us. And of course, how then do we protect our data? All right, you ready for this journey? Let's go. Let's go. All right. So the first one I have is there are several security risks. Several security risks. And we get to talk about all of them that is being held on whether your computer or your smartphone or is being transferred around networks. Okay. And what are those risks that poses a threat to our data? And now it's important for us to understand this because I'll be talking about this in terms of one. I'm talking about this in probably just get a highlighter. I'm talking about this in terms of the name of the security risk. I'm talking about the description of the security risk. When we talk about the description, we're talking about what does it do? What is this security risk all about? And the possible effect of the security risk talks about what effect, what damage does it have on our systems or on our devices, and then we'll talk about the methods that would help us to remove this security risk. The good news is the fact that why it has a possible effect, there's a way to remove it. Hmm. Aren't you all excited about that? I think that's good news. Literally, that is good news. Okay, so it's important for us to explore that. The first thing we'll talk about is hacking. So let's talk about hacking. So when we talk about hacking, what's the description, right? So this is the act of gaining unauthorized or illegal access to a computer system. So you're gaining, right? And for some reason, if you have access to anyone's computer without their knowledge, it probably may not be hacking. Probably maybe you know the password, but it's wrong. But when you gain an access that is not authorized by the person and he or she does not even recognize who you are, guess what? You're a hacker. Yeah, congratulations. Mm. Don't smile. Don't smile. It's not a don't smile. Yeah, we have ethical hackers, right? But no, literally, this is the fact that when you gain unauthorized access to a person's computer, that is what we call hacking. So if you notice your computer is having any issue, probably what's happening to my laptop? I'm observing some things. You probably need to consider the fact that probably you've been hacked. So what are the possible effects? Probably this would help you. It can lead to identity theft, and that simply means that people would gain into your computer and take personal information. We call them personal data, and they would pose to be you. They would get that attribute as you, and they will surface online pretending to be you, or it could be the misuse of those information that they've gotten. People don't know the value of anything, literally, especially when it happens to be in their palms. So, okay, let's say I'm just going to use it any the way I want. You're not going to use it any way you want because it's you, right? Okay, and again, not just that, data can be deleted, data can be changed. Simply means that the hacking could just come in, delete things that he or she want to at his will, right? It can also be changed, and the hacker could just corrupt things on your laptop just to bring pain that has no gain. Hmm. So what are the methods to remove the security risk? The use of firewall, right? And we will get to explain firewall in this particular topic. So I'm just probably going to reserve it for that. The use of firewall, the use of strong passwords and user ID, very important, right? Very important. Ensuring that your passwords are strong enough, your logins are strong enough, and it's always advisable to always, once in a while, change your passwords, okay? Anti-hacking software. One way to guide against hacking is to have the anti of it, right? Right? To have the anti of it. So the use of ID and password, very important. And it is important that even if you encrypt your files, it's not going to stop that hacker who's decided not to study for his IGCSE ICT. Okay. It's not going to stop that hacking, right? Yes, it would make it unreadable, but it can still be deleted. Literally, it can still be deleted. And you really don't want to be, you don't want to say, okay, I have it encrypted, it's fine. No, they can still get access to it and it can still be deleted. Okay, so please, let's take note on that. Very important. All right, phishing. When we talk about phishing, right, what happens? This is where the creator sends out a legitimate looking email to specific users, right? It's not real. The emails are not, and the whole idea is they try to pose as legitimate organizations. Okay, they try to look real, that they are from that reputable company, but they're not. So the whole idea is that when they target that specific user or those group of users, right, and usually those emails are being attached with, embedded with links. So the more you click on the link, or you probably click on the attachment, they send you to a very wonderful fake site. Okay, wonderful fake website. Okay, and the whole idea is to fool you into giving personal data, right, in replying to this email. Okay, so it often comes from, it appears to come from trusted sources, especially banks, right? So it's very important. Okay, so you have to actually look out for it. Okay, you have to actually look out for it. Barclay is not Bacla, right? So you have to actually look out for it. But it's Barclay Bank. No, it's not. So you have to look out for it. Possible effect of the security is, what do they do when they try to do all this? The whole idea is to gain your personal data, and those personal data specifically could be bank account details, your credit card details, and again, it can lead to fraud or identity theft in such a way that they can use your details, your credentials, in duping or carrying out some schemes online or to people, and literally you don't want to be in on the other side of it, because I know you look so innocent. Of course, it's not you, right? It's not you, but it's happened. Okay, so methods to help remove the security risk. Your ISPs, right? Your ISPs is so important. EE is great. They help. They're great ISPs. They can help you to remove um, um, web browser features, so that any email that is coming that doesn't look legit goes to the spam. Okay, users should always be cautious when you're opening emails. I'm so cautious. I don't just open any kind of emails. I'm careful, or attachment. So you have to be very careful. Okay, and please do not click on executable attachment. Okay, especially that ends in, right here, that ends in .exe, .bat, .com, or PHP. Don't. Okay, so it is so important, because they try to look legitimate, right? And the whole idea is to convince those target users there that they are legit. And if you're not careful, not everything that glitters really is what. Let you continue it. Yeah, complete it. Complete it. Yes, smishing. This is what we do in the masterclass, really. We try as much as possible to ensure that we're able to properly, right, teach learners how they can properly Understand, interpret the question as much as possible. We dive deeper than just a past paper to ensure that at the end of the day, you're able to fully understand any question that is being administered to them. Okay, you're wondering, say, yeah, what happened? We just we're fishing, and now we're smishing. Okay, trust me, right? I'm not the one that came up with those words. I am literally not the one that came up with those words, but we have to talk about them. Really, exam is around the corner, so let's keep this going. So when we talk about smishing, it is the short form of SMS phishing, literally. So the whole idea of the smishing is it uses the SMS, the messaging system of mobile phones to send out fake text messages. Okay, so it's similar to phishing, right? But this particular one is targeted to your phone directly, not to an email where you need data. It's being sent to your phone, and it contains a URL. It doesn't have a URL, probably a short URL because it's a text message, a short URL, a bit link, whatever. You have to be careful with bit link and short URLs, okay, or telephone numbers, okay, embedded in the text message. Okay, so this is where this targeted users will be asked to log into the website. Just click on the website. We're legit, yeah? Right? I think. Okay. Or make a phone call. Try to make a phone call. And if they do, what happens? They are being asked to supply personal details. They be careful. Your bank will never ask you for your PIN. I'm going to iterate that again. Your bank will never ask you for your personal details. What's not the essence or what's not the point of having my details in the bank if you have to call me and ask for it again? I feel like I'm preaching. I feel like I'm bleeding because these things are actually happening, and it breaks my heart that people have to fall for this. So they'll ask you to supply your personal details, credit cards, or password. Now, the moment you tell me to supply my personal details, is already a turn off. I'm losing interest. Okay, you're losing me, right? Literally, you're losing me. Okay, so it's still the same with the phishing attack, right? So the text message will come from a legitimate source and will make a claim, probably that you've won something. Hooray! Celebrate. Collect your money, get the money before you celebrate. Please, literally before you celebrate. Okay? And they tell you you've won some prizes and stuff like that, all in the with the idea of getting your details. So please be careful. I promise this is the I promise this is the last one. First promise this is the last one, right? Because there's now vision, right? Okay, we just finished vision and now there's vision, and I'm very sure there will not be any shin again, right? So vision, and when we talk about vision, it is a voicemail phishing. Okay, it is another variation of phishing. So we have two variations of phishing. We have the smishing and then we have the vishing. Now this uses a voice message, right? A voicemail message to trick the users into calling a number. Oh, we're from your bank. I think your hand. They don't think. They actually come with confidence. Oh, we're from your bank. We're from Barclay. And I think, okay, I'm not using the word I think again, right? We're from Barclay, and it appears, yeah, good, that your account has an issue. Please call this number to rectify. And forgive me that I'm trying to find the words to actually prove that because I'm not a scammer. Literally, I promise. I promise. Okay, so forgive me. I shouldn't be able. I don't know how to do that. Literally, I don't know how to do that. The culture I'm from even prohibits it. So it's not even a thing. We don't even think about it. Okay, we don't even think about it. So it uses a voicemail message to trick the user into calling the number. And still with the phishing attack, the user will be asked to supply that personal data, thinking they are talking to somebody who works from that legitimate company. Okay, yes, okay. So we know your name. They try to get some information that poses to be you, literally, because they don't get your name. That there's no point trying to, you know, actually get more personal details. So they have to literally get some personal details, and then they go from there. Okay, your account number, one, two, okay, and if you're not careful, if you don't watch out for the words, and that's why when especially for voicemail, watch out for the words, watch out for the wordings, watch out for the speech, watch out for the way the words are being placed, their sentences. These are things, most of them are professional, like literally they were born to scam people, I think, right? Right? So they were just born to scam people, but you have to watch out for those things. Your bank will never ask you for your personal details. A legitimate company will never ask you for your personal details. Your school will never ask you for your personal details. They have those information, literally, right? Literally. Imagine those in masterclass, right? I'm calling them, okay, so you sent me your email, right? So what's the email? Huh? You're free to register for the masterclass. What's not the point of it? What's not the whole point of it? So it's very, very important, right? Very important. Pharming. So when we talk about pharming, this is a malicious code. Yes, that is installed on your computer. Okay, it's either installed on your computer or what on the web server. And the whole idea of this is that this code is going to redirect the user to a fake website without their knowledge. You go to a particular website, right? It takes you to another. It takes you to their own website. You go to another website, it takes you to another website. So if you're not careful and if you don't check out the URL you're typing in the address bar, it could be misleading. Okay, are we together? It could actually be misleading. So the user don't have to take any action, unlike the phishing that you have to click on a link or probably an attachment. This time around, it just redirects the user to those fake websites without their knowledge. Like they're not even playing right now. It's money. Money must be made by all means, literally. So you have to be careful. Okay, so what are the possible effects of the security risk? You look at the creator of the malicious code is going to gain your personal details, such as your bank account details, when you visit this website, because they will ask you to put in those details. Again, it can lead to fraud or identity theft. So you have to be careful. So what are the ways we can remove it? Anti-spyware, okay, can help to identify and remove pharming code from a user computer. Okay, again, the user should always be alert, okay, and look out for clues when they are being redirected. So don't, wow, this is another site, cool, catchy. No, check it. Check it. It's important. Check it. Right? So it's always important you look out for these clues. Why is it important you look out for these clues? Because especially when you're visiting websites, you should have websites that have a padlock. We'll talk about SSL, secure socket layer. We'll talk about that. So it simply means that it has to have the protocol called the HTTPS. That S there simply means what? Secured. Are we together? Simply means what? Secured. Okay, so this is very important, right? So there are other data threats. We've talked about phishing. We've talked about smishing. We've talked about vishing. We've talked about pharming. Then there's malware. And this is one of the biggest risks to the integrity and security of data. Big words, right? Okay, so many software applications, such as your antiviruses, are capable of identifying them and removing most of the forms of malware. But there are other forms of malware. And this section of this slide talks about them. This is what we do in the masterclass, really. We try as much as possible to ensure that we're able to properly, right, teach learners how they can properly understand, interpret the question as much as possible. We dive deeper than just a past paper to ensure that at the end of the day, they're able to fully understand any question that is being administered to them. So let's go. I'm excited. You're excited. Let's go. All right. So the first one is viruses. So what is a virus? Okay. So pointer for your exam, the program codes, the softwares that can replicate itself. So there are programs code, the software that can replicate itself, and it has the intention of deleting or corrupting. That's the intention, right? Viruses doesn't have good intentions, right? It has every bad intention. See viruses as bad intention. Very important. Okay, so they have the intention of deleting, they have the intention of corrupting files on a computer. The moment they affect your files, what they do here, they would cause the computer to malfunction. So the moment you start seeing your computer malfunctioning, most of you are so wonderful. I have so many wonderful students. You'll be like, Mr. Gerald, I think my laptop is misbehaving. It's not misbehaving, it's a virus. Right? Literally, it's a virus. Just call it the way it is. Okay, maybe you didn't know then, but now you know now. So I think it's misbehaving. You might probably, what do I do? Okay, I give a lot of advice, consultations. I give a lot, and I do it for free for my students. Just um do it for them. Just to ensure that they have a system that they can always tune in to Agile Tech. Literally, because if you don't have a laptop, you literally cannot come Agile Tech. If you don't have a device, right, a computer. So I want to fix it because I want you to always be here to learn, to grow, and to have a wonderful grade. So yes, it has the intention of deleting, corrupting. It can replicate itself, and it can cause the computer to malfunction. Okay, so what are the effects of it? It can cause the computer to crash. It can stop it to function normally, become unresponsive. So most time you're trying to click on your computer, it's showing not responding, not responding. It could probably not be a virus. Now I'm going to how to. That's the different section on Agile Tech, right? But it could probably not be a virus. It could just probably be a technical issue. Okay, so yes, the software could delete files, right, on a computer. Okay, it could also corrupt the operating system, and it could not just corrupting the operating system. It could make the system to run slowly or even crash. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mr. Joe, I'm chatting you with my phone. I think my laptop has crashed. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, yeah. Virus did it, right? I don't know what happened. I don't know what virus did it. Virus did it. Okay. So what are the methods to remove those computer viruses? Install antiviruses. They help a lot. Yes, there are paid ones, but yeah, there are still some free ones that they give you a bit of trial versions to be able to just ensure that you have a very virus-free computer. So don't use software from unknown sources. Not everything that appears on the internet appears to be what it is. Be very careful. Oh, I want to install this, and you install. I want to install this, and you install. When you were installing, you didn't remember, Mr. Ajiro. But now you have installed it. The laptop has crashed. You suddenly remember, Ajiro. You suddenly, okay, all right. So be careful when opening emails or attachments from unknown sources. Be careful, okay. And I think this is a good time to point to you that backing up files won't guide against the effects of virus. It's not going to stop your computer to crash. It's not going to stop the virus to delete the files. Why? Because even if you back up the files, those files are already infected with the virus. So backing it up, doing a clean installation of your operating system, bringing the files back, is like, I don't know, it's like pausing the virus and then bringing it back to resume its duty. Yes. So now we know. So please, let's be all be guided. Yes. Worms. Okay. So what worms do? Right. So they are standalone. Compared to the virus, they stand alone. Right. And they stand alone and they can self-replicate. Unlike the virus, right? The virus need a host, right? Program, and it needs to be opened to do any damage. But for worms, they are standalone. They don't need to. They need no active host. They need nobody to click on them for them to start doing the damage. They are damaged themselves. Okay. Yeah, they damage themselves. Okay, so their intention is to spread to other computers and corrupt whole network. Okay, so this is important. Okay, so they are damage themselves. They need no active program. They remain inside application, right? Which allow them to move throughout the. So the whole idea is that they flood the network, okay, and they start targeting other computers that are connected to the network. Okay, so it's very important that we know this. Okay, so the network permits them to spread unhindered. Okay, so you can actually see how the worm is moving around and say, I see you too. Okay, Trojan horse, a Trojan, a malicious program. And when you hear the word Trojan, they often disguise as some legitimate software. And for the ladies, you probably get you know intrigued when you probably see an application that you like, that you probably want to have on your laptop, but it's not the application. So it's always important that you always check the name of the application and the name of and the file size. Name of the application and the file size is so important. Hey, but I saw one that is 30 something megabytes, and I saw one that is just 15 megabytes. Okay, download. Mhm. Download them and see what Trojan will do for you. It would show you malware. Okay, it's going to show you malware, and then it's start sending me, Mr. Child, Mr. Child, Mr. Child, please. And I will say, it's malware, Trojan, and I'll put the emoticon there, right? Horse. Okay. So it is a malicious program which is often disguised as some legitimate word software, but it contains some malicious instructions embedded. It's like a sin in disguise. So a Trojan horse would replace all the parts of the legitimate software with the intent of carrying out some harm. Like the harm that will make you say, oh, okay, it's time to reach out to Mr. Joe. Okay. So I couldn't join the master class because now we have to fix it. Okay, because it's the master class. Literally, right? So they need to be executed by the end user. That's another thing. Why they are malicious code, they are disguised to be some legitimate software to trick the user. They have to be executed. The user have to install, and it does the rest. Okay, so most time they can arrive as an email attachment. So you have to be careful. Always scan your attachment before you even open them, please. Okay, so it's so important. Or downloaded software from infected websites. So you have to be careful. Keylogging software. When we talk about the keylogging software, it is also a form of spyware. But this is what the keylogging software does. It gathers information by monitoring what that user's keyboarding activities. Okay, that is being carried out on the computer, and you will see the pictures here. So when the user is typing, is recording, is monitoring all those information, and is storing them in a small file, which is now being emailed to that responsible cyber criminal. Okay, that is responsible for the software. Okay, so it's probably designed to just monitor and capture web browsing and other activities that probably be hacked person. So at the end of the day, when those information are being sent, all right, it's being sent to user. The user can now check all the things you have been typing to see what they can get out of it. So this is very important. Adware. Okay, so adware is a type of malware. It is the least dangerous kind of malware, right? Because the whole idea is it attempts to flood end users with unwanted advertising. Okay, it would flood you with so many advertising, hoping to get something that would catch your attention. Okay, so it could redirect a user to a fake website that contains promotional advertising. They can be used as form of pop-ups, okay, or appear in your browser tools bar, thus redirecting the search request. All right. So that's just the whole idea of the adware. Okay. The attempt to flood, right, your computer with unnecessary and unwanted what advertising. What can it do? Why is it least dangerous? What can it do? It can highlight weaknesses in the user's security defenses. Yes. Because when it floods and floods and floods, you probably find a way to see how we can penetrate into the security defense. It can be hard to remove because it's coming up so much, popping up so much. Okay, and most time, because of how it pops up, it could actually defeat most anti-malware because it could be difficult to determine whether they are harmful or not. Okay, it could even hijack a browser and create its own default search request. Ransomware. Ransom. They've taken your data into ransom. And that simply means your data is being held as hostage. So what the idea of this is a program that would encrypt that data, right? The hacker gains access to your computer, encrypt it, and tells you you have to pay. It's not free. It took me hours, days, weeks, months to learn. And now I have access to your laptop. You have to pay. And once you pay the money, which I strongly advise against, yes, I strongly advise against. Okay? Okay? And once you pay the money, a decryption key is then sent to the user. Right? It has cost considerably damage to some companies and even individuals and even public figures. Because when you pay this money, they never stop coming back. And let me give you the gist of the story. The gist of the story is the fact that even when they give you the decryption key, they have a copy. And this is why the United States always state, and I quote, they don't negotiate with terrorists. That does not mean that, of course, when I'm talking about terrorists, I'm talking about people who are causing great harms, they're causing great pain to families, causing great pains to nation. There's no place for that. Okay? There's no place for that. But yeah, there are people who do that. Why? They do it electronically. They do it electronically. Right? So just to imagine a situation where you log into your computer only to find out that your screen is locked and you see a message that shows you it's time to pay up. Okay, I came up with that one. I literally came up with that one. It's time to pay up. No access. Send me a mail. Oh, sorry. You can't even send me a mail. Call me. Okay, and you negotiate some fees. You try to make some transactions. They give you the decryption key. You have access to your files, but they also have access to the files. Are you seeing what the story is going? And once they're done going to parties and having a good time, they're broke. They come back again for a refund. Okay, I call it a refund because yeah. Oh, a refill. Let's use a refill. A refill. All right. So please, it's important. What is a credit card fraud? A credit card fraud simply means the illegal use of a credit or debit card. When you're using a card that is not yours, you are a fraud. I should not say it out. You're a fraud. Okay. It's the same thing. Okay. And this can be due to the following: shoulder surfing. Okay. That simply means you're watching people while they are keying in their PIN, their personal identity number. That's what it means. Okay. In either an ATM or an EFT POS or a POS terminal. Okay. Card cloning. Okay. Or keylogging software. So let's talk about the shoulder surfing, right? We've talked about it, and now it is a form of data theft. That simply means that when criminals steals personal details from a victim when they are using a cash dispensing machine or when they are paying for goods or services. Okay. and all they are doing is they're watching as you're queuing the data. They're probably listening when you're saying, Farik, yes. So the number is 2, is 4. Did you get it? 7, 8. Probably. I want to call the last number. I want to. Yes, I want to tell you. Yes, what's it? What's the last number? What's, that's gonna be very funny. It literally. What's the last number? Okay, what's the last number? Okay, some of the most sophisticated examples of shoulder surfing includes the use of tiny digital cameras watching people. That is how they are killing their personal details. How do you live? How do you even sleep at night knowing what you're doing? Okay. The room is quiet and everywhere is silent. Cat cloning. Let's talk about cat cloning. Okay, cat cloning. So when we talk about cat cloning, we're talking about the copying of a credit or debit card, right? Which uses a magnetic stripe. And this cloning is a type of card that is being employed on electronic device known as a skimmer. So go on YouTube and search for skimmers, and that would give you an idea. So they slot it into the POS terminal. So when you slot in your card to pay for transactions, what that simply means that it is copying your credit card or debit card and also your PIN. So all you have to do is to take that electronic device known as a skimmer and go to their corners, to their dwelling, okay, and it's kind of like a secret place, literally, and they duplicate your card. And even when you're with your card, you keep seeing some unnecessary deductions. So that's, you have to look out for that. So it's a data capture device that can allow criminals to record all the data that is stored on that magnetic stripe on a card. Okay, so this is very important. Protection of data. How do we protect our data? But it's important for us to start off with authentication. Because when we talk about authentication, they are used to verify that the data comes from a secured and trusted source. So that's what it is, literally. It's authentication is used to just verify that the data comes from a secured and trusted source. Okay, so along with it is encryption, which strengthens internet security. So we're going to consider all these ways to protect our data. So the first one is biometrics. So when we talk about biometric, this is a method of authentication because it relies on unique characteristics of a human being. That simply means that without the presence of a human being, that is it. You can't gain entry. You can't. You can't gain entry. And don't start thinking it. No, I'm not going to say it, but you can't. Okay, you can't, right? So that simply means that it becomes difficult to copy. Biometric data is not impossible, but it becomes difficult to copy and requires the user to be present so that this method of authentication can be used. So it simply means that if my devices have biometrics, it simply means that you need me to be there to gain access, to give you access to that particular file or to that particular system. Okay, so what are those types of biometrics? We have the fingerprint scan, retina scan, voice recognition, and just to look about the fingerprint scan, they all have high accuracy, very easy to use. The same thing with retina. Okay, for some people it's very intuitive because it's still related to criminal identification. People can use it once they get your fingerprint. That's all. They don't need too much. They've gained entry. If it can make mistake, especially if something you're using your thumb to gain entry and something happens to your thumb, even if it's you won't have access. Okay, the retinal iris scan, okay, It's very intuitive because people can actually get a copy of it and then use it. Okay, and but I think for the iris and retina, it is expensive to set up. Okay, the voice is non-intuitive. That simply means verification can take place in less than how many seconds, right? You just talk to it and that is it. Okay, it's inexpensive, and again, a person's voice can be easily recorded. Yeah, they can record my voice and try to manipulate it to get the password, okay, and gain access to it. Okay, and if you're ill, probably with shouting and etc., what happens? You probably find it difficult. Okay, this is what we do in the masterclass. Really, we try as much as possible to ensure that we're able to properly, right, teach learners how they can properly understand, interpret the question as much as possible. We dive deeper than just a past paper to ensure that at the end of the day, they're able to fully understand any question that is being administered to them. Digital certificate. So when we talk about a digital certificate, what are we saying? We're simply saying that it is a pair of file stored on what a user's computer. A pair of file stored on what a user computer, and they're used to ensure the security of data sent over the internet. So we have that pair of files stored on a user computer, and we use them to ensure the security of data that is being sent over the internet. And they are divided into two. We have the public key that can be accessed by anyone, and the private key that can be accessed by the computer user only. Okay, so when you're sending a mail and we are attaching a digital certificate, we are simply saying that we want the recipient to know that this is coming from a trusted source. And this adds another level of security. So what makes up the digital certificate? We have the sender's email address. We have the name of the digital certificate owner. Okay, we have a serial number. We have the expiring date. Okay, it could range during which the certificate is valid. A public key, of course, that is used for encrypting, and of course the digital signature of this of certificate authority, right? So this is very important. Secure socket layer. So it is a type of protocol, right, that allows data to be sent and received securely over the internet. They allow data to be sent and received securely over the internet. So when the user logs onto a website, okay, what happens? The SSL will encrypt the data, so only the computer and the web server are able to what? To communicate. So how will a user know if it's SSL that is being applied? Is when they see the padlock, the green padlock, right? They see the hypertext transfer protocol secure. Okay, so at the top of the screen. So the whole structure here is this, right? The user's web browser will send a message, okay, so that it can connect with the required website, which is secured by SSL. Now, what happens is that the web browser will make that request for the user, okay, to the web server to identify that particular website. The web server will respond by sending a copy of its SSL certificate and to the user's web browser. And once this message is received, okay, so once this message is received, what happened? The web browser would acknowledge, okay, this is secure, and the web browser and the web server would begin to perform a two-way data transfer, which is called a handshake. So, of course, if the web browser can authenticate the certificate, it sends a message back. The website will say, okay, let communication begin. Let communication begin. So you see that why it goes like this. This is structure. So why this is sending this. So if the website can authenticate this, it says, okay, then and once it has authenticated this, okay, the message is then received. The web browser will then acknowledge, and then transaction can communication can begin. So it all begins that a request is sent. The web server can acknowledge, can give a copy. the web browser can authenticate, and then the web browser and the SSL website can have a communication. So what are the examples? Where are the examples that the SSL can be used? Online banking, online financial transactions, online shopping, when sending and receiving um, emails, when sending software out to restricted lists of users, using cloud storage facilities, internet and intranet and extranet, okay, as well as internet. We'll talk about that in chapter 10. And there's a video already there on my YouTube channel. So please feel free, explore, have fun with it, right? Voice over internet protocol. We've talked about it in chapter 6, making and receiving calls via the internet. Instant messaging, when making use of the social networking sites. So all these are various ways the SSL can be used. Okay, when we talk about encryption, encryption is used to protect data, right? Cases that have been hacked or accessed illegally. So that's what it is. Even if the hacker can access it, it cannot be able to make sense of it. Okay, they can delete it, fine, but they don't know what its content is all about. So they're used to protect data. So, and we've talked about it, right? So this is very important. Now, the key used to encrypt is called the encryption key, right? The key used to decrypt or decipher. So when it's encrypt, we call it encode. When it's decrypt, when it's to decrypt, we call it decipher. Okay, is what is the decryption key. So why the key used to encrypt or encode is called the encryption key. The key used to decrypt or decipher the message is called the decryption key. Okay, so when a message undergo an encryption, it is known as a cipher script. Okay, I'm going to say this again. When a message undergo an encryption, it is known as what? A cipher script. The original message itself is seen as a plain text. Okay, so talk is cheap. Let's be real with this. So this is encryption, right? So we have encryption key, we have the plain text. We have the encryption process, we have the cipher script. Now, if we're to do this back way, you will see that we have the decryption key, we have the plain the cipher script, we have the decryption process, we have the plain text. So that's the other way around. Are we together? Again, decryption key, cipher script, decryption process, plain text. So let's put this into context. So here we have the encryption key, right? And this is a message. Okay, this is the encryption process where the sender is actually encoding it. And this is the cipher script. For the decryption process, when the recipient receives it, there's a decryption key. He has a decryption key, and then he decrypts. He deciphers it, right? Decrypts it, and then you have what? The plain text. So that's the whole process to which it goes through. Very important. A firewall. When we talk about a firewall, it can be a software, it can be a hardware. And what a firewall does is it sits between the user computer and an external network. So it helps to keep potentially destructive forces away from the user computer. And what is it doing? It is filtering incoming or and outgoing what? Network traffic. And their criteria. The criteria for allowing or denying access to that computer can be set by the user of the computer. Make sense? So here we have the sequel of it. So we have the user computer, we have the firewall, which can be a hardware or software, and then we have the internet. So you see that it sits, right, or stand the gap between the user computer and what? The internet. So the following shows a list of tasks that can be carried out by the firewall. So what I think that can be carried out by the firewall to examine the traffic between the user computer and the public network. In this case, the public network is the internet. It checks whether incoming or outgoing data meets a given set of criteria that has been set by the user, right? If the data fails, fails the criteria, what happens? The firewall will block the traffic and give user a warning that this is a security issue. So it will examine, it checks what has been set. If it fails, it gives a warning. And the firewall can be used to log all incoming and outgoing traffic. We'll log them in so that you can later go through it and then you can interrogate. And criteria can be set so that firewall prevents access to undesirable sites. It can also keep a list of undesirable IP addresses. So it prevents access on undesirable site. It can also block undesirable IP addresses. It is supposed firewall to help prevent viruses or hackers enter the computer. So yes, it prevents viruses. It prevents hackers enter the user's computer. So this is very important. All right. So this is very important. Let's talk about authentication. When we talk about authentication, it is the ability of the user to prove who they are. Literally, that's what authentication means. So when you're able to put in your PIN or your passcode, that's something you know. On your device, that's authentication. The ability to prove who the user is. And when you have to use a phone, right, to gain access, that is something you have. And when you have to put in your thumbprint, that is something that is unique to you. However, there are two factors authentication. And that simply means it requires two methods of identifying or proving who the user is. Okay, so it is used predominantly when a user makes an online purchase. So the whole idea is for security. So if you're using a credit card online, it gives you two-factor. Okay, please, you have to send again, so that if someone has access to it, okay, if someone has access to it, you can easily say, oh, this is not me. This is so not me. How can I be buying this at an exam? I have IGCSE paper 3, I have IGCSE paper 2, I have IGCSE paper 1, and I'm buying a game. I'm buying PlayStation 5. It is so not me, because I want to study. I want to read. I want to pass my exams. I want to do well. Okay, so it's so important. User IDs and password. So passwords are used to restrict access to data or systems. That is what it does. So passwords are used to restrict access to data or system. And when you are creating password, it should be hard to break. And it's always a good recommendation to always frequently change your passwords. So in addition of protecting access level to computer system, so it's important that these passwords are strong passwords. And what are they being used to access? They're used to access email accounts, carry out online banking or shopping, accessing social networking sites. Please tell me in the comment sections what passwords can be used when accessing the internet. Put them up in the comment section. I want to see it, and I'm going to read through it. Okay, so it is important that passwords are protected. Yeah, that passwords are protected. And some way of doing this, okay, are described right here. So it's very important that the passwords are protected. And one way we can do it is run anti-spyware to ensure that your passwords are not being relayed back to anyone. And what even makes a strong password? I think this is a good time to just chip this in. At least one capitulator, one numeric value, one other keyboarding characters, like your @ your asterisk, which is your star, okay, your and, So this makes a strong password, not your name. That's vulnerable passwords. Okay, so changing password on a regular basis are some of the ways your password can be protected. Apart from the fact that you want anti-spyware, your password should not be easy to break, and it is possible to make a strong password but easy to remember. So you should know this. And this is the end of security of data. We started off talking about the data threats, and we move forward in talking about protection of data. So this is very important. Please do well to share this video with your friends, your classmates, your juniors, and don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. It's somewhere around. I don't know. Just click on it. That's your assignment. Click on it, right? And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. This is what we do in the masterclass, really. We try as much as possible to ensure that we're able to properly, right, teach learners how they can properly understand, interpret the question as much as possible. We dive deeper than just a past paper to ensure that at the end of the day, they're able to fully understand any question that is being administered to them.